Hey, you want to double your income this year? Here we are, upcoming year. Do you want to double your income in a year? There's a question you have to ask yourself. Do you want to double your income? Now, you may be saying yes, but the real question is this, then what's your strategy? I was listening to Brian Tracy through a CD series one time, and he said, do you want to double your income? I thought to myself, and I went, of course I do. And he said, well, here's the strategy. Are you ready for the strategy? Take notes, pay attention to this. Read in your chosen profession 1 hour per day. Read in your chosen profession 1 hour per day. If you would read in your chosen profession 1 hour per day, if you read at a 7th grade level, let me tell you how this would work. If you read at a 7th grade level and you read 1 hour per day, that would be 200 pages. Now I've written 7 books, and you know only one of them is over 200 pages. The average self-help book, the average book on technique and strategy is less than 200 pages. So if you'd read 1 hour per day, you'd read 50 books in a year. Here's the rhetorical question. Here's the rhetorical question. That means the answer is already pre-planned. Do you want to double your income in 1 year? Yes. Okay, what's your strategy? Read in your chosen profession 1 hour per day, you'll double your income. Some people say, well, I don't have time. I don't have time to read my chosen profession an hour a day. Well, what do you have time for? Do you have time for TV? Do you have time for radio? Do you have time for cell phone? Do you have time for computer? You have time for Facebook? You have time for MySpace? Of course you have time. You just don't want to make time. According to the University of Southern California, if a person will read in the chosen profession in 1 year, again, I got this from Brian Tracy, you will double your income in 1 year, 1 hour per day. In 3 years, you'd be an authority. 5 years, you'd be an expert. In 7 years, you'd be a knowledge worker, but you can double your income. What if you say, well, I can't read in my chosen profession? Can you listen? Here's some numbers for you. If you drive just 12,500 miles a year, do you know that's 500 hours in a car? And if you drive 25,000 miles, that's over 1,000 hours in a car. You could listen your way into success because every book is also in some form of audio program. But do you want to double your income in a year? Always the question. Yes, I'm being redundant when I keep asking you that question, but I want to know. So, are you going to read in your chosen profession 1 hour per day? Because the bottom line, go back to the formula. Read my chosen profession 1 hour per day. That would be 50 books in a year. 1 hour will get you 50 books. If you read 50 books on how to close sales, would you learn to be a closer? Answer is yes. If you read 50 books on diet, health, and nutrition, would you be slim and trim? Answer is yes. If you read 50 books on finance, would you understand money? Answer is yes. If you read 50 books on new home sales or your profession, would you double your income in a year? The answer is obvious, and as my wife says, of course you would. Here, I got 2 things that really upset me. Have you ever heard somebody say this? I'm just burned out. You know, I'm just burned out. And I look at them and I go, how could you be burned out? How could you be burned out if you were never on fire? You see, to be burned out means you actually have to be this white-hot sphere of excitement, and you literally burned out. You don't burn out, you rust out. You don't put anything in new. Why is the Dead Sea dead? The Dead Sea is dead because of no inlets and no outlets. And if you're not taking anything in, your mind dies. It's called the doctrine of empathy. Next statement that really upsets me. Have you ever heard somebody say this? I don't want to work harder, I want to work smarter. Do you know how dumb that is? I mean, you're actually dumb to say, I don't want to work smarter, I want to work harder, unless, of course, you do this. Now watch this. How do you work smarter unless you have a plan of education? You see, it's all about the education. It's all about reading in your chosen profession. Watch it. 365 days a year, 365 hours would double your income. Read 1 hour per day. It's almost preposterous. You could double your income in 365 hours. Did it work for me? Yes. Will it work for countless other people? Yes. Thank you, Brian Tracy, for sharing that with me.